Kyle's words echoed in the hidden base, the hum of the advanced technology creating a backdrop to his impassioned speech. His calm and resolute expression radiated wisdom and strength, inspiring the gathered resistance members. Jake, Liz, and I stood by his side, our hearts pounding with a mix of determination and hope. "We fight not just for survival," Kyle continued, his voice steady, "but for a future where freedom and peace can thrive. My people may be gone, but their legacy lives on through us. We will not let the Empire's darkness snuff out the light of hope." The room was filled with nods and murmurs of agreement. The diverse group of resistance members, humans, alien species, and even a few former Imperial soldiers looked to Kyle with admiration and resolve. The atmosphere was charged with a sense of unity and purpose. After the meeting, Jake, Liz, and I gathered around a holographic map, planning our next move. The base buzzed with activity as the resistance members prepared for the upcoming mission. Weapons were being checked, supplies organized, and strategies discussed in hushed tones. "All right, folks," Jake said, pointing to a sector on the map. "Our next target is an Imperial outpost on the edge of the HFY system. It's a critical supply depot for the Empire, and taking it out will deal a significant blow to their operations." Liz nodded, her eyes sharp with focus. "We'll need to move fast and hit hard. Our lens intel suggests the outpost is lightly guarded, but we can't afford to be careless." Kyle, standing beside us, added, "I've been analyzing the data from our last mission. There's a weak point in their defense grid here." He pointed to a spot on the map. "A well-coordinated strike at this point could disable their entire network, giving us a window to infiltrate." "Good work, Kyle," Jake said, clapping him on the shoulder. "Let's make it happen." The journey to the HFY system was tense but uneventful. The resistance members aboard the Intrepid were a well-oiled machine, each person knowing their role and executing it with precision. As we approached the Imperial outpost, the familiar knot of anticipation tightened in my stomach. "Coming up on the target," Liz announced from the pilot's seat, her fingers flying over the controls. "Dropping out of hyperspace in 3, 2, 1. The stars streaked and then settled as we emerged near the outpost. It was a small but heavily fortified structure, floating ominously against the backdrop of the stars. "All right, team," Jake said, his voice steady. "You know the drill. Stick to the plan, cover each other's backs, and we'll get through this." The resistance members nodded, their faces set with determination. We donned our exosuits and prepared for the assault. The attack was swift and brutal. We breached the weak point in the defense grid, just as Kyle had predicted, and moved through the outpost with practiced efficiency. Blaster fire filled the air, the bright flashes illuminating the dark corridors as we pressed forward. "Cover me," Jake shouted, laying down suppressing fire as Liz and I advanced. Kyle moved with surprising agility, his pale blue skin almost glowing in the dim light. He was unarmed, but used his knowledge of Illyrian technology to disable security systems and guide us through the labyrinthine structure. "Target acquired," Liz reported as we reached the main control room. "Setting charges now." We planted the explosives, our movements quick and precise. The countdown began, and we made our way back to the extraction point, the sounds of distant explosions echoing behind us. We were almost out when the alarms blared, and a squad of Imperial soldiers cut us off. The corridor was too narrow for a full-scale firefight, and we were outnumbered. "Damn it," Jake muttered, raising his blaster. "We're pinned down." Kyle stepped forward, his expression calm and resolute. "I can create a distraction. Get to the ship." "No way," Liz protested. "We're not leaving you behind." Kyle smiled, a sad but determined look in his eyes. "You must. I have knowledge that can help us win this war, but it's worthless if you're captured. Go. I'll meet you at the rendezvous." Before we could argue further, Kyle activated a device on his wrist and a blinding flash filled the corridor. The Imperial soldiers recoiled, giving us the opening we needed. "Move!" Jake shouted, pulling Liz and me along. We sprinted towards the exit, hearts pounding. The Intrepid was waiting, engines humming and ready for a quick getaway. "Where's Kyle?" Arlen demanded as we boarded. "He'll meet us at the rendezvous," Jake replied, his jaw set. "Let's go." We barely made it out of the blast radius when the charges detonated, the Imperial outpost erupting in a fiery explosion. The mission was a success, but the cost weighed heavily on us. Hours later, we reached the rendezvous point, a secluded asteroid field where we could lay low and regroup. Kael was waiting, his form barely visible in the shadows. "You made it," he said, relief evident in his voice as we approached. "Thanks to you," Jake replied, clapping him on the back. "That was one hell of a move back there." Kael's smile was weary, but genuine. "We have much to do. The Empire won't stop until we stop them." Back at the base, the atmosphere was a mix of celebration and reflection. The destruction of the Imperial outpost was a significant victory, but the road ahead was long and fraught with danger. As we debriefed and planned our next move, I couldn't help but feel a sense of pride in what we were building. The resistance was growing stronger, and with Kael's knowledge, we had a real chance at turning the tide. "Jake," Liz said one evening as we sat in the makeshift mess hall, "do you ever think about what's next? I mean, beyond the war?" I shrugged, taking a sip of my drink. "Honestly, I try not to. One step at a time, you know? But yeah, sometimes I wonder what it'll be like when this is all over." Liz smiled, a rare softness in her eyes. "I think we'll figure it out. Together." Kael joined us, his expression thoughtful. "The future is uncertain, but as long as we have hope and determination, we can shape it into something better." The weeks turned into months, and the resistance continued to grow. We launched more successful raids, gathered more allies, and spread the message of hope and resistance across the galaxy. Kael's knowledge proved invaluable, not just in terms of technology, but in understanding the Empire's weaknesses and strategies. He became a symbol of hope, a living testament to the resilience and ingenuity of his people. One day, as we were preparing for another mission, Kael pulled me aside. "Jake, there's something you need to see." He led me to a secluded part of the base, where a hidden door opened into a chamber filled with ancient Illyrian artifacts and technology. "This is the heart of our legacy," Kael explained, his voice filled with reverence. "These are the last remnants of my people's knowledge and culture. We must protect them at all costs." I nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on my shoulders. "We will, Kael. I promise." The next mission was our most ambitious yet, a coordinated strike on an Imperial shipyard. It was a high-risk, high-reward operation that could cripple the Empire's ability to build and maintain their fleet. As we gathered for the final briefing, the atmosphere was tense but determined. Kael stood before us, his calm and resolute presence a beacon of strength. "This mission is crucial," he said. "But remember, our strength lies in our unity and our resolve. We fight not just for ourselves, but for the future of all free beings in this galaxy." Jake, Liz, Arlen, and the rest of the team nodded, their faces set with determination. We were ready. The assault on the shipyard was a blur of chaos and combat. We moved through the facility with precision, taking out key targets and planting explosives. The Empire fought back fiercely, but we held our ground. "Charge, set," Liz shouted, her voice barely audible over the din of battle. "Fall back," Jake ordered, covering our retreat as we made our way to the extraction point. The final explosion rocked the shipyard, sending shockwaves through the facility. As we raced towards the Intrepid, I couldn't help but feel a surge of hope. We were making a difference. We were fighting for something greater than ourselves. Back at the base, the atmosphere was electric with celebration. The destruction of the shipyard was a major victory, and for the first time, it felt like we were turning the tide. Kael approached me, his expression a mix of pride and gratitude. "You've done well, Jake. We all have, but there is still much to do." I nodded, knowing he was right. The fight was far from over, but we had proven that we could stand against the Empire. We had shown that hope and determination could overcome even the greatest of odds. As I looked around at my friends and allies, I felt a sense of camaraderie and purpose that I had never known before. We were more than just a resistance. We were a family, united by a common cause and a shared dream of a better future. And together, we would see that dream realized.